All right. It's a little after 9, so you know what that means. It's time. It's time. It's time for the morning show. That's right. It's time to rise with purpose. It's time to know what you want out of life, and damn it, be willing to go get it. Go get it. It's my message already this morning. I am hyped. I am ready this morning. I hope you were ready. I rose with purpose, boy. I got in 8 miles today before I even got on the show with you this morning. 8 miles. What are y'all doing today? What are you going to do with your day? You got 8 miles to put in? Hopefully you got more than that. All right. Whew. I am woke this morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am woke. I'm ready. I got the fire, the passion. I hope you're ready too. Because it's Friday, and you know what that means. Friday means that we rise, but when we rise together. So here another, oh, look at that, right on cue. Hold on. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you think you know this woman, but I have had the pleasure of being in her presence for years now. She has changed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, with her Zumba class. She's helped plenty of women jam out, rock out, and enjoy their workout. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together for the one, the only, the top level lover, the cream of the crop, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Bina.
Hey guys. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Okay. All right. Well, you know how Bina does. She's going to jump on her phone and get on and make sure that we can see the comments, because sometimes StreamYard doesn't like to show me all the comments. But I want you to know, starting next week, we're going to dig this in a little bit more. So on Mondays and Fridays next week, we are going to be taking questions. I know that me and Sabrina are lucky enough to have a great marriage. I know that we have a great relationship. I know that we're not perfect by any means, but I know that we could help other people value their partners a little bit more. That we can use the advice that got us to where we are in order to help other people become stronger. That's what we want to do. So on Mondays and Fridays, when we do Rise Together.
Normally, if he doesn't get on a rant.
Or if she doesn't interrupt me. I guess that works too, right? But normally, when we're on here on Mondays and Fridays, we're going to be taking questions. So if you guys have any questions on how to chase your dreams, on how to have a happy marriage, on how to deal with each other when you want to wring each other's necks, how to support your spouse in chasing their dream, even though it's going to take some of your time for them to do it. There's a 100 topics that me and Sabrina have gone through as a couple that we know that we can help you guys with. So starting next week on Monday, we will be taking questions. So if anybody has any questions and they want to know anything about us, or they have something that they're going through in their own relationship, in their own marriage, and they want some perspective on, we're going to be taking those questions on Mondays and Fridays. So when you see Rise Together, know that it's not just, it's not going to be me doing my normal motivation. Yes, I'll start the day out with it. But what I want you to understand is that you have an amazing opportunity to ask us anything. Like we struggled. We went from being homeless to owning our own home. I was raised in a broken home, and I'm lucky enough to have a happy marriage. We have succeeded time and time again, but it's taken struggle and it's taken a lot of toll on us. So we want to save you some of that time. So if you guys have a question that we can help you with, we want to help you with it.
Absolutely.
It's all communication is the key to knowing the relationship that you have.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Daddy, you got questions? What's your questions?
No, that's funny. But that's the whole point. Is that I know. Let me give you an example. When Sabrina first started her Zumba, it was a hard time for me. She may not have known it, but it was really hard for me because I was really out of shape.
Well, not just that. We had just lost his dad.
Right. But I was really out of shape. I was in a bad place mentally. And she wanted to take that dark moment and make it into something great. She wanted to take her pain and turn it into a motivation. But I wasn't there. You know, I just lost my dad. And I was in a really dark place. And I don't know if I would have came out of that if I didn't have Sabrina. But Sabrina wanted to become, when she wanted to start going to Zumba, I wasn't in the best place. But I knew that she loved it. I knew that she loved it. And even though I wasn't in any place to take the next step to try and grow, she was. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, how to support someone in their dream. You know, what it means, doesn't mean you have to step completely out of their life, of course not. But you have to give them support and you have to give them their own space. You know, it was hard for me at first. You know, many days I wondered if, you know, it was my insecurity that kept bringing me back to Sabrina's class. Because what if some big buff guy came in and was like, hey, how you doing?
Which it never happened.
She says it did.
It never happened.
But you never know, you know, what's going on, in that fear sometimes would like freeze me to the point that I wouldn't know what to do. You know, like I wanted to, there were days I wanted to tell her to stop because she was spending so much time that we were struggling to spend time with each other.
I was teaching 5 to 6 classes, or 5 to 6 days a week. And some of those days I was teaching multiple classes too.
Right. But what you have to understand is yes, that took a toll on us. But for us to be a happy marriage, I had to understand for her to be happy, she had to make choices that she had never made before. You know, she was going to have to do things that she had never done before. And for me to be a good husband, I was going to have to stand on the sideline some of the time and just be her cheerleader.
And he did.
And I
literally from the first class.
Yeah.
I was so nervous to take my first Zumba class that, like we'd done the gym and everything like that before, try to get in our own routine and everything like that, try to, you know, make a plan for ourselves, but it always failed. It always failed. Like I'd give up on myself. I wouldn't see the results. And then when I was just about to give up too, when I was just about to be like, I'm throwing the towel in, like I'm so over all of this, I'm not getting what I want out of all of it, I picked up a group fitness schedule. And I remember looking at the schedule being like, well, maybe if I'm in a class and I have somebody else there to push me, you know, I'm watching everybody else and I'm clearly the weakest link of it all. Maybe it'll help me. So I was like, okay, what's Zumba? So I YouTubed it. I Googled it. And
the old lady.
There was like a 65-plus-year-old lady, a 60-year-old lady in the front row of this class. And I don't mean like, pumping and like she was killing it. She was putting girls that were in their 20s like to shame. Like it was pretty bad. So I was like, oh my God, if she can do this, I can do that. But I was so nervous and so insecure and so into my little hole and in my feelings about everything that Jimmy's like, I'll go with you. And I was like, you're going to go with me?
Yeah, keep something in mind. Up until this week, I've never owned gym clothes. Like, I don't buy gym clothes. I don't buy workout clothes. Even though I was in the gym 5 to 6 days a week, I was still in the gym in my street clothes.
He'd come in his work clothes. Like, if he got off of work, he, you know, that's how much he supported me in my classes. And that I'm very grateful for that too, because it was really bad when he got off of work from Chipotle and he came in there smelling like Mexican food. Like, that's ridiculous. Don't you ever do that. Like that. On top of that, we had a pizza place outside of the gym too. So not only are we smelling all this Italian food, Jimmy comes in and it's like, hey guys, and we're like, get out of here, burrito boy. You smell just like rice and beans and like you smell amazing right now. Get out of here, sort of thing. But even in his work clothes, his non-resistant slip shoes, he would come in those classes and he would stand in the back of those classes. And I mean, from day one, and I knew there was days that he didn't want to be there, that he was tired or he wasn't feeling good, or no offense, he just didn't want to come because he felt insecure, not only in himself, but being there to support me some of the people on the outside of that too. So I'm not saying necessarily my students, but just him walking through the gym and him, you know, he would stand at the back of the class. We had 2 double doors at the back of the class. So when people would peek in to be like, what in the world is going on in here? Look at all these lights. I hear the music bumping and I hear all these people screaming and yelling. And then they would look in and Jimmy would be the first one that they would see because he was there at those double doors, you know? So there was times where he didn't want to be there and he didn't want the attention on him either, but he never failed me. He never failed me. It was to a point where he actually ended up getting other guys, other gentlemen, which, you know.
I couldn't do it by myself anymore. You got to understand, I'm a big guy. So I want you to picture this. I'm a big guy. I'm not in athletic gear. And I'm in the back of a Zumba class. All of the women are thinking I'm there for another reason. You know, they're like, why is this guy in the back? He's not even really looking like he's going to work out. Oh, God, and they were uncomfortable.
Yeah, they were like, what is this guy doing? Like, they were nervous to bend over and do the booty rolls or, like, looking at Jimmy. Well, guess what? I learned a tip. Introduce your husband. Yeah.
But when she introduced me, of course, everything changed. The women went from, who is this guy, to being like, oh, Jimmy! And I want to tell you something. And this goes to every guy and every wife out there. I spent 4 years going to as many of her classes as possible. Because not 1 year, not 2 years, 4 years of making sure that she knew that anytime she needed me, I was going to be there to support her.
Because there were some days where I would go in not feeling it either. Like, even though I love it, this is my thing, is that I'm so nervous, and I'm working on this with myself personally. I'm so nervous to jump into the big pool and make it my career, make it my big girl job. Because, and it's not because I'm scared. I do it all the time. I do benefits. I do online classes. I do in-person classes. I do it. But I'm scared I'm going to lose the fun part of it. I know I can do it, but that's why I get so scared, is that if I jump in and I give it my all, is it still going to be fun? Is it still going to be a dance class? Am I still going to, you know, because I was talking about it this morning in my class this morning, which is crazy to think, that when I first started these classes, all I wanted to do was a workout. Like when I would go to them as students, all I wanted was a workout. I didn't want to be the teacher, but I just naturally became the teacher, if that makes sense. I know I have friends that can, you know, vouch for me. I used to be a line dancer, or country line dancer, cowboy boots and all. Like, I used to dance at Patsy Cline's, one of the first bars that Patsy Cline ever sang at. I used to do line dancing there. And it was funny because we would go there to learn the dances, me and my friends. But by the end of the, you know, the class, or the end of the hour or two that we had there to line dance and stuff, they didn't even really have an instructor. Everybody just kind of came in and did the songs, and you just kind of watched everybody else. I would go watch these other people, and then I would teach it to my friends, and then we'd all get out there and, you know, do it together. So with that in my back pocket, and I saw Zumba, I was like, well, it's kind of the same. But that, once again, bringing it back to that first class, I was so nervous. I was so out of place. I kept looking over to Jimmy because he wasn't in the class. He wasn't taking the class. Like, he wasn't dancing. He was over on the side. And everybody was just kind of like, what's he doing here? Like, why is he just standing here? So, of course, I'm like, hey.
I want you guys to understand something real quick. So, this, when it was her class, I wasn't even comfortable enough to go into the class. Yeah. So, I stood outside the door where I could see her through the door, and I watched her take the whole class, so that she could look up at any point and see me in the door and know, hey, I'm here. I got you. Yep. But that's how uncomfortable it started. And it didn't get any more comfortable for me in a long time.
I was going to say, don't lose the best moment of it all. What was the best moment of that whole thing? After I'd taken that first class, and I'm literally behind the instructor. So I'm not smart. I didn't stand in the back of the class. I got right behind the instructor because I wanted to make sure I could see her feet and see what she was doing. So when she would go right, I would go left. So I'm messing up everybody else in the class pretty much. Like, it was bad. But I'll never forget it, though. When I came out of that class, I was exhausted. I was sweating, like drenched in sweat. But I remember when I finally went over to tell Jimmy, because once again, he's watching the whole thing. I went to go over to tell him And what did you tell me?
She was smiling ear to ear. She was glowing. She had so much fun that I was like, did you really enjoy it? And she was like, yeah, I think I did.
The whole class, I messed up. Like, I couldn't get it. And it's like everybody else who takes my classes. And if you take in my class, you know, you're like, man, like at the end of the song, I get it down. That was me. That was me.
That's me every class.
Every
I'm
class.
like, I got it. Oh, it's over.
Yep. It's like you get those 4 minutes, you get those first 3, like, you know, reps and sort of thing. I guess you could say reps or,
That's
you know,
fine.
counts or whatever. So, because the songs repeat themselves. So you do the same things over and over again. So you see the pattern and then the song clicks off and we're on to the next one. You're like, damn, I just got it. What's going on? I was just like that when I walked out of that class. But because of that and him being like, listen, you weren't the best, but you were so happy. And I could tell by his reaction to me. I couldn't even see it on myself, but I could just see in his reaction that something was about to change. Something was really about to change for me. And here we are. I'm almost 10 years in now. Like, I started teaching. I got certified that really rough year where we lost his father. We lost our house. We had a lot of big things happen. 2013 was crazy, but we got married that year. I started teaching that year. Like, it's crazy. And
we got Jax that year too.
Did we get Jax that year?
Yeah.
We did, because your dad passed away. And we got poor Buck, my Jack Russell. We were living with Jimmy's dad at the time, and he got so close to Jimmy's dad because me and Jimmy were working so much. They had such a small amount of time, but the bond between the two of them,
it was awesome.
So unfortunately, when we lost Jimmy's dad, we almost lost Buck. And if it wasn't for us wanting to get another dog and getting Jax, which was by far one of my, when we do our priming in the morning, when I think of a moment that I'm most grateful for, I normally get feelings when things are going to happen, surprises are going to happen. Jimmy by far got me completely off guard with this. We talked about a dog. We talked about how much Buck had, you know, changed, and we were nervous about him being older. I mean, he wasn't super old. He was 7. But, you know, him just having somebody to be there with him since we were working so much. And when Jimmy came in, it was so cute. I'm going to tell him the story because I love this story so much. This is what I envision sometimes for my grateful moment.
Step up in there.
So when I think about this, when I'm priming, I can remember sitting in the spot that Pop, his dad, used to always sit in at the house. And I was sitting there with Buck, like he used to sit with Buck. He would sit and he would have Buck to the side, and then he had the side of the chair, so the arm of the chair or the couch right here, and Buck would squeeze in between. So I had Buck sitting there, and Buck had his paws on my inner thigh, and I was sitting Indian style. This is exactly, I'm literally painting you the picture that I think of every time I do this. And Jimmy came in from work, and the door was just a little off to the left, so he came in, and he does this all the time. He's like, hey, I got a surprise for you. Close your eyes and put your hands out. So I was like, okay, what's it going to be this time? So Buck is literally right here. You can't, let me pull it down a little bit. So like Buck is literally right here. Like I'm sitting Indian style and he's right here. And I put my hands out like this. So Buck's still in my arms right here. And I put my hands out and I feel something heavy in my hands, and my hands drop and it's fuzzy. And I was just like, oh, he got me a stuffed animal. So I opened my eyes.
Because I do get her a lot of stuffed animals.
So I was like, oh my God, he got me a stuffed animal. So as I looked down, it moved. And it was Jax.
Yeah, it was Jax. It was that black. I brought it. You're good.
Water.
I brought him home, and I surprised her with him. And, you know, I always want to do that for my kids one day, is surprise them with the puppy. But, you know, I spoil Sabrina a lot because I don't have kids yet. So it works. She loves it.
In due time.
And so I brought him home and I dropped him. But what you have to understand is Jax was so small and fat when we got him. He was so cute. He was so cute. He used to sleep on my foreheads in the morning. It used to crack me up. But we got a little bit off topic. But the point of it is to remember that there become moments when your partner starts to become who they were meant to be, and that may not always include you. In the moment, it includes you down the road, but in the moment, it may not include you. But this is what I want you to understand. If you truly love your partner, if you truly want an extraordinary relationship, you have to include yourself. You have to make the effort to say, hey, I know this doesn't include me, but I'm going to be a part of it to support you.
Yes.
You know, like Zumba, look at me. I'm not a Zumba guy.
He's a Zumba guy. Don't let him fool you. He is now.
I have fun with it, but I'm not a Zumba guy. If she wasn't teaching the class, let's be honest, I'm not going into the class. But what I want you to understand is I knew in that moment as I was standing there, I knew that my wife was going to change. I knew that she was going to change physically, and that was going to change her emotionally. Mm-hmm. It was going to give her confidence. And if I wasn't a part of that, I was going to resent it. Yep. If I wasn't a part of her growth, I was going to resent her growth, and then that would hold her back. And if I really loved her, if I truly loved her, her being happy should be my utmost goal. It's not about me, it's about us. And for her to be happy, I had to stand there on the outside of the class and yes, time is valuable, but that time was valuable to me to show her that no matter what she chose, I was still going to be there.
Yep.
I wasn't the person that was going to be in the Zumba class with her, which I ended up being, but I wasn't at that moment. I never would have taken a Zumba class.
Yep.
And I was like, I want her to be happy. And if I need to sacrifice some of my time with her for her to be happy, that's my duty. That's my responsibility as her husband, is to see that she needs things as herself, not just as us. That she is an individual, and for her to be happy, she has to have fulfillment, not only in our relationship, but in herself.
And for the longest time, too, with that being said, that's on both sides, too. So I know we're giving you the example of my classes, and it makes me very happy that we get to talk about this today because I was never able to be there like that, like we were just explaining to you, with him supporting me in my classes and my dreams for Jimmy. Because Jimmy, if you know Jimmy personally, know that he has so many ideas and has done it all and has, tried to find his way. I almost feel like tried to find his purpose. And, he's done all kinds of things. He's been general managers and he's owned his own companies. And we are still starting our food truck slowly but surely. But we get pulled in different directions for different reasons. And I'm so happy because Jimmy has now found his Zumba. He has now found his dance classes. I am now there to be able to be the one coming in smelling like Mexican food, okay? Because when Jimmy first started talking to me about wanting to be a life coach and wanting to try to do these videos, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, I ain't getting in front of the video. Now look at me. Like I'm doing my classes now. So because he's chasing his dream, it's making me chase mine even more and making it more of a career for myself. But it's important, too, for me to share with you that it's not easy being that support either. It's not easy. It wasn't easy for him to come in there and do those classes with me and be insecure. It's not easy for me to have to give up our personal time for him to answer messages and do these shows. And guess what? I did not like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But guess what? I knew if I didn't get up, he was going to fall. I knew if I wasn't there to support him, he was going to fall, because I knew when I started Zumba, if he wasn't there, I would have fell. I would have been the one to be like, I'm going to give up. Because who do you give up on first? Yourself, right?
Right.
You can talk yourself out of it. But if you got somebody there to hold you accountable and to be there and be like, well, that's not what you said you wanted to do.
And it gets annoying. I want you to understand that. There are points in every part of it when she holds me accountable that I'm like, shut up. But then a couple minutes later, I'm like, dude, I love her because she was there to say that.
Yes.
Because other people that don't love you are not going to be there to say the things that you need to hear. I know what it's like. But what I want you to understand is that it's hard for me to be a life coach, because there are times, like she said, that I take time away from our relationship and I put it into my clients. But the reason I put it into my clients is because I was made for this.
Yes.
And she knows that.
Yes.
As long as she's known me, she's known that I have always devoted myself to helping other people. That we literally started talking and became close because I tried to coach her and her boyfriend. Obviously, I wasn't that good at coaching at that point in my life. But
He was. Look how happy I am.
I got her to the goal. But that's my whole point, is that I've always been a coach, but I've always been so focused on getting a paycheck that I never chased my dream. I never chased my dream, even though I knew my dream more than almost any one of you have ever been confident about anything in your life. I know my purpose. I know where I'm going. I know what I will achieve. I will save thousands of children's lives. I will inspire one child to be the change in the world that I want to see. I will inspire one child to believe that he can do it too. And that's okay for me. That's enough for me. I don't need 1 million people to line up and say, Jimmy, you're great. I know how this works. Y'all aren't even going to get this until I'm dead.
Probably.
I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be one of those people that you're going to look back on and they're going to be like, wow, this guy was so ahead of his time. They're going to be like, dude, you guys are going to be reading my journals in 20 years, 40 years, 100 years from now. And you're going to be like, dude, this guy was so far ahead. Why was he so frustrated? Because I'm a man out of time. I'm a man that has seen the future, and then I'm steady I've been blessed to come back to the past, but it's frustrating to stand in the past and say, I'm trying to save you. And people are like, listen, I know what I'm doing.
The comments are coming through.
It's fine. It's fine.
I know. I'm just saying.
But I want you guys to know, I want you to understand this, that without chasing your dream, your life has no purpose. You're on a treadmill and you're burning calories. You're making movement, but you're not going anywhere. And I know what that's like. I spent 38 years doing it. I was happy in my marriage, but I was never happy in my life because there was never anything. It was there the whole time, people. I've been coaching people since I was born. When I was in elementary school, I would sit with kids on the playground and talk about their parents. I'm not joking. Like every person that is on here that's ever met me, I've coached you. There isn't a single person that I've met in my life that if they went through a hard spot, that I was not going to be there. That's who I am. That's why this is my passion. That's why this is my dream. That's why I guarantee I will achieve it. Because I have no other choice. I've been doing it since birth. But the difference is now I know the strategy. Now I went and got the training from Tony Robbins, and I have the strategy from my friends at ClickFunnels that I will achieve what I've always dreamed of. I will become physically the person I want to be. I will become mentally the person I want to be. Financially, I will be the person I want to be. But most of all, I will make the impact in the world that I knew I would. How many of you can say the same? How many of you can say, I knew I'd make an impact, and I know right now that I'll achieve it? That's all I want for you. I want you to make an impact so that when you leave this world, you know you left it better than it was when you came in. That's my goal. I want to help even one person at a time or one person at all. Because if I help one person, that's one more person that feels love in the world. That's one more person that knows that even though I'm not in a relationship with, you guys don't get this. I know you're not hearing me this morning. Sabrina can tell you 1,000 different stories of me stopping on the street and coaching people.
Can I tell them about Pat? I think we were talking about
Well, it probably did. But on the sidewalk, when I'm drunk, when I'm intoxicated, it doesn't matter. This is who I am. This is who I am. On St. Patty's Day, when I can barely speak, I'm coaching other drunk people on how to have a better life. And it works. That's the crazy part. I'm good at it, even when I'm drunk. Like, it just doesn't matter because I love people. It doesn't matter where I am. I can travel. I don't even need to speak your language. Do you understand that? Let that sink in.
He talks to dogs.
I talk to dogs. I have conversations with people that no words are even said. People can feel the compassion that I have for them by me merely looking at them because I look them in their eyes. I don't look with judgment or look down or look away because I'm scared, because I'm ashamed of what I see. When I see someone like that, you know, when you look at someone and you see someone homeless, You see something that causes you to look inside, and that makes you mad because you think, what if that was me? And that emotion in you creates something inside you.
Yep.
I don't have that. I was homeless.
Yep.
I know what it's like. You want to know what's really the truth? They're happier than you are.
They don't have the problems.
They don't have a single
the car payment, the mortgage,
all of the bullshit
debt.
that you hate in your life. They don't have. You sit there and you judge them. But why? Let me ask you this. If I was going to join the FBI, if I was going to get the highest paying job that I ever had in my life, why would I choose to give up everything and become homeless for the summer? Why would I choose to sell my car and to leave my job and to go pack a bag and go across country on foot? Because I had lost perspective. Because when I was a runaway, I had perspective. I knew what was important. But when you live too comfortably for too long, you lose perspective. You sit there and you think that the blessings that surround you aren't worth your love and attention, and they are. I mean, you're surrounded by things that at one time in your life you prayed for.
And now you have them.
But now that you have them, you don't appreciate them.
Right. It's like as soon as you get those things in your life, you're just done with it. Like at one point, that's everything you ever wanted. That's everything that you dreamed about. Like people think and dream about things and then they get them and they're so ungrateful for them.
Like, let me give you an example. Every time I argue with her, every time we argue, and of course we argue. If you think that we don't argue, you're fucking stupid. You're stupid if you think that all of the good moments that you see online are all of our moments. We have bad moments. We argue. You see how mad I get. You see how passionate I am. You think that never comes across in the wrong tone to her?
That's okay. He gets it back. Don't worry.
And she does. We're passionate. But what you need to understand is that that's a part of it too.
Yeah.
You know, as some people always want to go through their relationships, only focus on, oh, I'm only happy if we're happy. You know, if we're taking a picture and we're smiling. But, you know, you never want to take the picture and put it on Facebook in the moment where you're like, fuck you.
Yep. When you guys are fighting and you're cussing at each other and you're calling each other names and you're
now, I will say this. Don't ever cuss at your spouse. That was an example. Don't cuss at your spouse. You can cuss at anything in the room, anything in the world, but do not cuss at your spouse. Because as soon as you hurt them, that gives them the excuse to hurt you back.
Yep.
And that is the number one rule that I wanted to share with you today when it comes to giving advice as a couple. What I've learned is that you can be mad. I can be mad at her. I have the right to be mad at her. I'm a human being. She's a human being. She makes mistakes. I make mistakes. But what you need to understand is I can never question who she is.
Nope.
I can never look at her and say, I don't like who you are.
You can never judge me. You know why?
Because
you haven't walked in these shoes.
Right. I don't know ever. I may know her better than anyone on the fucking planet. But that still doesn't mean that I know her completely. I haven't gone through everything that she's gone through. I'm sure that there's things that she's gone through that she hasn't told me, her best friend and her husband.
Yep.
But I have to not question her intent. She loves me.
Well, and you have to look at it too, that especially if you come from two different backgrounds, you guys know the story of Jimmy and that he's had a really rough childhood, you know, that he's been homeless and that he's gone through different things, that, you know, there was substance abuse, there was alcoholism, there was, you know, multiple siblings, very many siblings that were in his family and things like that. This is a whole different world, a whole crazy world. I was very, very fortunate enough to have a very stable home, have a father that wasn't my biological father, Rich is on here now. I hope he hears this and knows how much I love him. That stepped up to be the dad that I needed in my life. You know, he didn't have to do that, and he did do that. And then my mother, who was always there from day one. It was me and her there for those first 3 years before he came into it. That, you know, I had these strong bonds with my parents, and that, you know, I grew up. I got to go to kindergarten and make friends for a lifetime. I didn't move all that often. You know, I didn't have the best life. My biological father, unfortunately, wasn't in my life the way that I would like it to be. But I didn't let it crush me. But coming from those two different backgrounds with me and Jimmy, and comes a lot with our relationship. So if you take anything from this today, just understand this. put yourself in your spouse's shoes. I don't know what the hell I would have done if I was left in a pizza shop when I was 9 years old. At 9 years old, that was the farthest thing from me. I was playing with Barbie dolls and my friends, and I could have never, ever, ever imagined being like that. Same for him. When I talk about cleaning the house and doing chores and taking care of, our house and our responsibilities, he has no idea. He's like, what? I never did that as a kid.
I don't know what it's like to have friends like that you've known for your whole life. I moved around so much when I was a kid. I never had a friend more than probably 6 months because we moved so much because I was in the military that after a while, I just stopped trying to really make friends because I knew I was just going to be like later in a couple of months, and that's something that with the way that she grew up, what she's trying to explain to you is that, our worlds clash.
We're two different sides.
Right.
Like, we're the yin and the yang of the situation. We really, really are. When they say opposites attract, they really, really do. This is something that we were learning with our exercise with Tony Robbins last night, that it's okay to be different. It's okay to do that. You're supposed to have that. That gives you passion. When you have relationships with people because you have that passion, because you are a little different, that's what makes it intimate. That's how you can love that person, because they are a little different and you love that about him. I don't think I would love Jimmy nearly as much as I do if he wasn't, as we were using last night, as feminine as he is, that he's so into his feelings and so into himself. That's what I wanted from a man. I wanted somebody that could be compassionate with me, that could show his feelings and watch Disney movies and cry with me. Like, I needed something like that.
Don't you judge me. Every time Mufasa dies, I can't help it, okay?
Moana. Like, don't turn that music on, boy. He starts.
I'm starting to do it right now. I love, but that's the whole point. Is that I couldn't love her if I didn't appreciate her, and if she wasn't her own person, I could never appreciate her. I hope that makes sense to you today. I hope that this is getting across to you that it is me that loves her individually different. A lot of times, and I want you to understand this, a lot of times when you get into a relationship, you put the pressure of your past onto that person. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you an example. Yep. And hopefully Sabrina doesn't kill me for using this example. But I grew up in a household that was chaotic. Like my mom stayed in the room most of the time. I ran the household. She had a business where she was a babysitter. I ran the business. I was a child. And I got up and fed the kids. I took care of the kids. I did everything. And she just stayed in her bed all day. She never cleaned. She never cooked. There was never someone to give me direction. I had to figure that out on my own. As a child. So you can imagine how frustrating it is for me sometimes when Sabrina comes along and she's like, well, why don't you clean like this? Well, hold on. Don't interrupt me. Hold on. Calm down. She takes it real personal. I told you she was going to get mad.
No, I just came from a mom that I'm pretty sure has a little bit of OCD in her.
So, a little bit?
So, like, every Saturday morning, guys, we got up. There was no cartoons normally or cereal. It was clean your room, do the dishes. Now you can go.
Okay. So in my household, my dad was in the Marine Corps. So my dad was like on a top. He had all that stuff done before any of the kids got out of bed in the morning. My dad was so on top of things that like he would go through and he would get up at like 5 a.m., straighten the house up, get ready and go to work. And I never really made a mess because we didn't have a lot of things, we never had, a bunch of stuff to organize and clean. And, we were pretty, I wouldn't say poor, but we were on the lower income side of things, and them having as many kids as we did, that just compounded that. But what I want you to understand is that Sabrina can get mad at me every day if she wanted to. Every day if she wanted to. She could just stand back and be like, I'm going to wait for him to fuck something up when he goes to help me clean. Every day. Because I don't clean the way she does. I don't even begin to value cleaning the way that she does. I clean in the kitchen. because I'm a chef, but I don't clean the rest of the house. I can give a shit less. Like if there's dust on the table, yeah, that's natural to me. You have to understand that. That's natural to me. Like I've lived on a dirt road where you wipe it and it goes up and it comes back down. And Sabrina, I swear to God, Sabrina's totally the person to wipe it. And then when it comes back down, she'll come back and wipe it again. And she'll come back and be pissed. She'll be like, what the fuck? And I'm the person that's sitting in the background going, duh. What'd you think was going to happen?
It's just going to keep getting dirty.
Right. But that's her thing.
It's nice.
She likes that form of control. She likes that form of control. I don't need control in that area. One area I need control is like my life and my, the risks that I take. And now I'm learning that I wasn't even right. I'm learning that I kept trying to turn myself into something that everybody else wanted me to be. And now, for the first time, I realize I'm perfect the way I am. I don't need to change at all. No. You want to know why? Because I wasn't meant to be you. You were you. I can't be a better you than you already are. You can't be a better me than I already am. So that's the point. This is the love of your skin you're in, right?
Yep. And that might be a little contradictory considering we're going through a challenge and we're trying to make ourselves better. You're fine the way you are, but are you happy where you are?
Now, hold on. Happy in the skin that you're in is only because I'm making progress. Mm-hmm. Believe me, there were days, if this show would have started 4 years ago, you would have seen me in a much worse state. I couldn't even done the show. I didn't do the show because I wasn't in the state to do it. Because I didn't have the strength to make it happen. But now I do. Now, thanks to her and the strength that we've gained together, I'm very proud to say I am very happy with who I am. I may not like it all 100%, but I damn sure see the progress from where I used to be. And progress equals happiness. Yeah, I see you, Tony. I see you. So if you're not, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you a couple of them to end the day with some Tony Robbins quotes. How about that? First, if you're in your head, you're dead. You're dead, ladies and gentlemen, because your heart is life. Your heart is everything that you are. So if you're in your head, you're dead. Life does not exist in your head. It exists in the moment.
And be in the moment. Especially in your relationships too. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're trying to speak to your spouse or reach out to your spouse, or you're going through a hard time and you don't know how to communicate with them, if you start thinking too much about it, and this is what really hit me last night, and that's why I'm glad that he shared this, is that if you're thinking too much in your head, are you really using your heart? Like you need to figure out which one is more important, and honestly, it's your heart. It's what, like when we prime in the morning, it's the thing that God gave you. You have a 1 trillion% chance of being born. And God chose you. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. God chose you. I'm talking too much. God chose you to be here in those moments, to be that person. You if you're thinking too much about it and you're analyzing too much about it, which I do all the time, I'm such an overthinker. What's more important, you being right or that person being with you and you treating them right? You need to apologize, even if you don't think that you're wrong, because believe me, I'm never wrong. Who's with me, ladies? We're never wrong.
Hold on, wait. No. No lies on the morning show. No lies on the morning show.
But you think you're right. Are you going to be right when you're alone?
Yeah.
Like, is it really worth it? Is it when he was talking about this last night, and he was like, when you're in your head, you're dead. If you stay in your heart, you'll be true. It'll be true. That's what I am. I'm a lover. I connect with that lover piece so big. I love everything, and I love extra hard. So hard sometimes that I get mean because I love so much.
Oh, hold on. I want to explain to you guys why she gets mean now. She gets mean because she's a lover. She's a lover, and that's her gift. That's the number one thing she can give out to the world. But she gets mean because she holds that love inside, and she's scared to let it go. She's let the world convince her that she should protect her love and not give it out freely. You know, like, trust me, she should walk down the street and people should bump her and be like, oh, I'm in love.
Confetti,
I'm in love, yeah.
confetti,
Just
balloons.
Johnny Appleseed, you know, just dropping love everywhere. But that's who she is. But the conflict that lies within her is that she also has this troubled part of her that doesn't want to let her be happy. And it convinces her to hold back her love. It convinces her that she should hold it inside, and that destroys her. It destroys her because there's a light that's beaming everywhere within her. It's very strong, but her conscience, her brain is telling her to dampen that light because it's making her be seen. Yeah. And her brain knows, oh, you don't like to be seen that much. So your brain's telling you what you need to hear in order to keep you safe. But the whole thing is if she's safe, she's not happy, because if she's not giving everything she has, if she's not giving all the love that she has, she's hurting. So she has to. And I know that some of you guys out there too.
So remember, in your head,
you're dead. Cool.
Use your heart.
Yes.
It's the strongest muscle.
Start with the heart. If you're in your head, you're dead.
Mm-hmm. All right. What else, Tony?
Oh, you want one more, Tony? Energy is emotion in motion. Or wait, no, emotion is energy in motion. Energy in motion. Emotion. Energy in motion is emotion. And what I want you to understand by that, the last one I'm going to drop on you, is that a lot of times we think that our actions are determined by our emotions. But it's actually your actions that determine your emotions. Let me explain it to you. You can be in a horrible mood. But here, back up a little bit, because I don't want to hit you. So if you're in a horrible mood, you know, your body language is like this, your head's down, you're talking shallow. But boy, I'll tell you what, do this next time. If you think that emotion rules your life, I want you to, next time you're sad, I just want you to start cheering. Yeah! Woo! Woo! It won't be genuine at first. But it will build into a genuine yell and happiness. Like, yeah! Woo! Yeah! But silly kicks in after a minute and you're like, yeah! Woo! Yeah! See the difference? See the change? Your actions create your emotions. You confirm your thoughts with your actions, and that creates your emotions. Be careful what your actions are. And one more. I got one more for you, because I've been watching this challenge and trying to be dropping knowledge. What happens if your worst enemy drops sugar in your coffee?
Ooh.
What happens? Your worst enemy drops sugar in your coffee. What happens? It's sweet, right? It tastes good, a little bit better. Now, what happens if your loved one, your spouse, or your family member accidentally drops 1 drop of strychnine in your coffee? You're dead. So watch your coffees and be careful of who's got sugar and who's got strychnine, because sometimes it can happen on accident. All right. I love you. You. I love you. I hope that you do great. I hope that you go out and you seize the day, carpe diem.
Yes.
But most of all, stay tuned. Wait, stay tuned.
Pay attention.
You're gonna come on. You use a hand.
Pay attention.
And witness my growth, because we grow together.
See you guys Monday.
And I love you for it. Let's see. How are we going to do this one? Oh, I'm going to go out cheering on this one. You ready? Yeah!